Peace family, welcome to the NFP review that happened on the 7th of July. Okay, so here we're going to understand these numbers and percentages. What do they mean for our reports that happened? Okay, so let's start with the average hourly meaning. So here this means that the salary increases, or the amount of salary that is increased for the employees besides the farming industry. So if the actual is greater than the forecast, this is good for the currency. So when the actual is greater than the forecast, it's good for the currency. And the unemployment, the non-farm employment change means that is the number of jobs in the US. And then if the actual is greater than the forecast, it's good for the currency. Okay. And then the unemployment rate is the number of unemployed people. And then if the actual is less than the forecast, it's good for the currency. Okay. Now let's start with the average hourly meaning. So last time we had 0.4%, and then the forecast for June, because these are the June results, for June was 0.3%, and then the actual for June was 0.4. Okay, now let's do a diagram to understand what actually does this mean. So here we can see that 0.4 is greater than 0.3. Okay, so the actual is greater, so I'll give it A plus. The actual increased, which means that the USD gained in strength, or if the actual is greater than the forecast, is good for the currency, then I'll give it a plus. So if this one is greater than the forecast, this measurements this which is good for USD. Okay, and then with having a greater any increase in USD, we can possibly have an increase in inflation. Then with higher inflation, we can have higher interest rates. So the interest rates are increased by the monetary policy or monetary banks. Okay, so this is what this means. And then here for June we have 306,000, and then the forecast was 224,000. It was lower. And then the actual was 209,000. It was even lower. So as we learned that if the number of jobs increase, I'll give it an A plus, then it's good for the currency. is good for USD. But here we see that it is less. So the actual is less than the forecast, which means that is bad. For the USD, and then this can lead to lower inflation. With lower inflation, let me put a negative here. We will have even lower interest rates. Okay, so currently this is what we want. This is currently what we want. For the US dollar to slow down so that we can have lower inflation, so that we can have lower inflation, so that inflation can go down. This is what the Fed is trying to fight. This is what we want. But then we have 0.4, which is higher than the forecast. So now, since this is higher, the Fed are going to focus on here, because this can possibly causes the inflation to go higher, because the USD is stronger, and this can lead to higher rates. So the USD goes up, inflation goes up, now the Fed is like, wait, we need to still fight for the inflation to go down. So we're going to see with the CPI how it's going to perform, and then we'll then analyze the data reports and see how the US economy is behaving. But currently we have this issue right here of 0.4. Okay, so this is what the NFP results are meaning right here. Okay, I hope you understand that. Tap in.